I'm going to be off in just a little bit anyway. Ooh la la.
I'd stream a little bit before we go see the movie.
That should be good.
Yeah, I always have fun watching that movie.
Multipass.
Multipass.
Mm.
Yeah, I gotta start moving some stuff over.
Are you moving bases?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get rid of my initial first base. I've outgrown that area.
Yeah.
So I was kind of setting some stuff up, grabbing the stuff that I need, and then moving stuff over. Let's see. Let's sell that one. What do I need to build? Oh, there's Meownier, the Terraria. I hopped on your guys' server for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Did
then
you get Meowmere?
I took out the sword and started harassing Dad with it. He's like, "Oh, is that sword?"
I still have it on my person, but I haven't harassed him lately. I should do
You
that.
gotta go chase him with Meownier every once in a while just to keep him on his toes.
I love that thing. It's so fun.
I agree.
It's so fun. Bill hates it too, so it's really great.
Okay, I need a bunch of ingots, which are gonna be at my other base.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, since we moved the bases over to the upper islands, we haven't had a raid, so I think the raid only happens in the early islands.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get meteors and supply drops and stuff like that, which I don't remember a lot of those early in the game, but I don't know, that could have been the game timing.
Oh yeah, the meteors happen all the time where you guys are at.
Go out and capture a new pal.
What else did I need to move over? I need ingots, which are at my mining base.
Ingots. Ingots.
I was starting to build up that one, and I'm like, I don't want to do all this crap. I'll just use it for this. So I started building it up. I'm gonna destroy probably that stuff.
I totally get it. I think I was glad your dad wanted to play the new game, because I was like, oh, I really don't want to do all that shit again.
Yeah.
I think he enjoys having the equipment and going after new pals anyways. To new stuff. They got a lot of new stuff. Lots of new stuff.
So fun to just take out the bottom part of a base, and then everything else falls. It's so great.
Yeah, I don't know if it still happens, but it used to. If you got a whole bunch of, like, you filled the base with a new buy, they would pack everything into a crate next to the pal box, and then you could just move it over to the other base.
Nice.
But I don't know if they still do that, because I kind of
The shadows are slowly going away too. It's trying to catch up.
Ah!
That's so funny. I turned off my white stuff too, just because I'm gonna be building stuff and I don't want to deal with it right now.
Oh, so here we don't get the Cativas, we get the Godfins, the Ignis. So it's more like,
Oh yeah. Yep.
I hear them outside fighting.
Go right here. Then we're gonna stack. Stack. Hello, Grammy.
Grimmy.
That's
Sir? Sir, are you listening to me, sir?
It's so good.
Sir, I'm talking to you. Sir,
How you doing, Grim? Oh yeah, how warm is it where you guys are at? Since he gets to go home in 45 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Okay, let's... Just across.
Come help me. Help me. Help me.
Oh, I
think I
have
was
the
telling
ingots
your
for this.
dad-
Hell yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think I was telling your dad that I also really like the new towers that they put in. How when you open them up, they give you that sweeping panorama around.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous. They're really pretty.
Oh my goodness, it's gonna take a long time. 90 and very humid. I'm so sorry. I think Dad said it was 90 down by them.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Let's see, we'll do this side as... What do I need for this? Nails, wooden, boarding, cloth.
Nails. Let's see. You needed your ingots. Ingots.
Mm-hmm.
Ingots. Wow. I need more potatoes, Kate. I need potatoes and carrots and
I
onions.
need potatoes?
Oh my. Yeah. Yeah. Potatoes. You say potatoes. Hmm.
Get some pals out for this. This is a new one. Cheryl and Dad are doing the old one.
But the other one's up on the servers. If anybody
Yeah, it's
wants
still
to-
there. If you guys wanna play on it. Yeah.
I haven't looked in on Marina Space. See how they're doing.
Yeah, she's doing some modded stuff too, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
Oh, where's my rib bunny? Because I feel like I want to have those out no matter what in my base.
Hey, bunnies.
Just because of their handiwork increase.
Ah, what do they do for handiwork increases?
While at base, Increases the handiwork work suitability level for all other base pals by 1.
Nice.
Just for having him in the base.
Nice, nice. See, there's all kinds of little new powers that really are kind of cool. I don't even know them all now.
Yeah.
So, okay. And alrighty, I guess it's probably about time to get my booty ready. Okay. Okay, okay, Kate. Have fun. Have a
I
good
will.
time. And enjoy the movie tonight. That should be that should be a blast.
I
Hopefully
will.
everybody will be having a good time.
Yeah.
All right. Love you, sweetie.
Love you too.
Boy.
Bye. Yeah, I don't have a ton of high rank pals, so that's why I'm using them right now. Need some planters at some point too. How you doing, Wolf? A monitor stand? Yeah, yeah. I just started building up the space, so. I'm definitely want to get you out. Ma'am. Yeah, I figured he wasn't going to be on it very long. I have to toss this. This has a crack in it. That's right. I need cloth and wooden boards. I was doing this to be able to build up my high quality workbench. Yeah, this is solo. I'm getting ready to get rid of my first base. So I'm trying to build this up a bit, and then I'm going to destroy that first base. This guy I'm going to destroy. Yeah. I turned off weight limit because I'm moving stuff, so. I don't have time to deal with that shit. Okay, I need to go over there and build up. Well, I need to go to my ore base and just have them just keep making ingots for me. Where did I put that? Oh, I put it right here. I really have only one fire guy here? I really need some higher up kindling guys. Okay, they're both working. Okay. Yeah, they're still working on these. Let me acquire these. I need cloth. Let me see. I increased resources that I get to since I'm by myself. Once again, I've been through this already before. I don't want to have to deal with it again. I'd like this. Let me build this out. course. We'll just destroy these. No! I got rid of the wrong one! Son of a bitch. Okay, I just need... my ancient civilization parts, which are at my other spot. Just gonna pop all of these in here for now. Until this can actually get destroyed. So they're moving it at least. Now we can do stone, or I can go grab the Paldium fragments. And my ancient civilizations fragment stuff. Look at my big old penguin boy. Look at him. Go back to this base. Yeah, me too. It could be a little bit of a pain, but it's so nice. Who is that? Who is that? How dare you? Is that yours? I am playing my game. What about my pals? I'm totally beating them up. Let me do this. There it goes. think I'm gonna really worry about the other stuff either. Okay, there's some. Let me go back to. What was fun is that I died. When I was playing offline, I died, so I just respawned to a different spot that wasn't near my other area. That's where I found this place to build out. I should get him food. Don't need to worry about that, so we'll do that. Hmm. And then we get the pal beds. I'm gonna need a lot more cloth.
It's time.
Hello, Ellie. How are we doing?
Let me see what you have. No!
I'm gonna build my greenhouse like over here. Why, hello there, lady. I saw. You got yourself a new little puppers. I seen it. Nice. This one I'm gonna do production. This one I'm gonna do like the pal beds and stuff. Well, the question is, do I want to take out any of my guys? I didn't bring over too many from the family one. I could bring over to Anubis if I want to, but why are you stuck down there? What are you doing? That's pretty funny. Okay, I gotta build these guys' beds. I'll build them the basic. No, because I want to have the space. That's one way to do it. Okay, I can't do any more of the fluffy ones. I'm just anticipating the bigger ones. Help me build, bud.
Freedom, he says. The decision is in my hands, he says. Where's my freaking butt slider then?
Hey.
Hey,
The
hey,
decision.
hey.
That's so good. What is playing? What is that music coming from? I have this off. What the heck? I had Pretzel paused, and it was still playing other music that I wasn't playing. That was so weird. Why is he upset, not willing to do any work, huh? But the ore, they have to be 3, right? Thank you, Graham. Did I not have a Tombat over there? Steal one of these guys. Give him another mud. Or I think it's 2 or 3. Oh, I got him working. Okay, I'll need to make... I think over here is going to be my little greenhouse. I don't have glass unlocked yet or anything like that, so that'll have to come at a different time. I could probably cut that one too in a little bit. Okay, now here comes the fun part. And go all the way back. There's that one. We need wheat. So do the same thing. Oh, no, I need one more up. That's right. Come on. Come on. Do you just not want to? I might be too far back on the benches. I think that was the problem. I did it too far back. We'll see. There we go. Saw it for a second. Come on. I might just take this down and then go outside of here. There we go. And then we can put this back up. Look at that. We're getting there. Okay. Can I set up? I can. I might do. Maybe not all the way out. About right there might be good, and then.
Huh?
Oops. It was under infrastructure. Put on a couple of these guys. You're all feeling down because of bad working conditions. I'm trying my best. It's temporary, I swear. They're all upset with me right now. Alright, he is not happy. Hello?
Huh?
What else did I need to do? All right, let me start moving more stuff over. Be a little quick, but that's okay. Okay, I'm gonna go grab a little something to drink. I'll be right back. Little Miss Lightbright on? I think she is. Okay. Thank you for being patient. I had to go harass Steve too. And then we'll do production over here. I need to make a ranch. A ranch. For somebody that will give me what I need. What'll be nice is that this will expand. My base is not done yet. Expanding, so is this Miss Lightbright live already? She is. Okay, we're just gonna get more. I'm gonna pop her up on the side. Cool. I got to pop this guy in here too. Pop that right there. Well, they seem happier now. Okay, I need cloth, which means who does good at the ranch? Wool. We did need some PAL fluids at some point soon too. The aquatic ones. We are getting ready to get into some electricity stuff too. So maybe. Flame organs. Okay. I don't think I need the pal oil just yet. For now, we'll go with the wool. I do need to make... Oh, I have enough beds now. See, I want you there. You... You go there. Is everybody a little happier? I think everybody's a little happier. Okay. I need to finish breaking down the other spot too. I need to make a little medicine area as well. Which is... We need cloth. Where's the oh, there it is. I know it's somewhere around here. I do want a spot for all the medicine. Need a bigger enough spot for it too. Let's do the metal chest. I can do it right above it. We'll see how annoying this gets. Chest settings. Meds. So we're gonna need... It's a... I'm trying to remember exactly which one it is. I don't want to put ingredients in there. I need to remember what it is. Is it really PAL materials? Ingredients? It is ingredients. They need to allow us to filter even more for like medicine and stuff, I feel. This will get annoying really fast. Unless I fill it up all the way. Because ingredients also means these too. So I'll get annoying quite quickly. This stuff I can sell. Yes, dear. Meds. Other things. Meds. Let me go sell some stuff. The small settlement is here. Excuse me, pardon me. Sell.
Hey.
I don't think I really need anything. I don't need hardwood yet.
Hey.
Hey. I need to get another spot going for the Howard stuff. Did I catch enough for the other ones for this guy yet? He gave me fruit again. Nice. I haven't even been working on capturing pals just yet either. We'll see if I even do. Okay, that'll just decay over time. Okay, let me pop these guys. I'm gonna put these right back. Build a little metal chest. And I'll pop some of the schematics into here while I grab everything else. And hopefully I'll be able to tear this down. I'll toss the eggs in there too, since those don't stack. Oh my goodness. All my ancient civilization parts. These guys out of here. I'm gonna pop these in here. And I'll pop my cooking pots in here too. And since I turned it off because I don't want to deal with the decaying food either. Just because I get on by myself. We're not using a lot of it. So I don't need to worry about that either. Food and garden. Foods, ingredients. I think that's it. These are PAL materials too? That's so dumb. Yeah, the countdown for the food, I turned it off. So you see there's no timer on these, so my food doesn't expire. Yeah, so when you go to launch into your server, there's the server options and you can turn off the decay. And also I turned off these, my weapons, durability going down. You're harvesting. Yeah, it's in the initial settings. You just gotta scroll down and find it. I can build a bigger feed bag too. I just need... And I also turned up how much I get from this. So I get a lot more materials from the stuff that I tear down. What are you doing here? How did that get flagged? What? What? What got flagged? Huh. That's strange. Why is Tidbit... It's Tidbit. Why? Why? You can say titty, you guys can't say Tidbit. Why? I do have it up. It was glitched. It was in the ranch still doing stuff, but it wasn't in the ranch. So it was just glitched out. Yeah, see? Yeah, see? Be able to do that soon, but I do need... I'm gonna build... I'm probably gonna do... my little other stuff up top. I think there's another thing that I need to put down for this. I am gonna put a stone one out here though. snap to that. Yeah, it's not slang. It's literally a computing term. Which is why it's odd. Okay, I can get rid of this. I just need a little bit more fiber. Yeah, I can turn that down, or I can turn it off because I just had it on. Had to have it on for the sponsored thing for Marvel Rivals. That. I'll pop my pal spheres in here too, and these guys. Or skill fruits is its own thing. Okay. Give me one sec. Oh, no, it flagged Molv. That's hilarious. Let me Hold on. Oh no, there it is. Settings. Okay. Try saying it now. That's so funny. I gotta figure out which other pal I want to bring over. How is that a blocked term? There should be no filtering on this stuff, which is hilarious. Hold on a second. How is that? I don't think I ever blocked that. It says it's blocked in the channel, like by me. I just put it in the Discord. Why is that blocked? You know who it might have been? It might have been SiriBot. It's a blocked term, that's why. I wonder if SiriBot did it. Okay, now say it. That's so bizarre. Where the windows are, I want to put glass eventually. It was blocked, I think SiriBot did it. Just in case, like, that was a term that was being used by bots. Yeah, keep an eye on time. We gotta leave in about an hour, less than an hour. Go meet up with Miss Lightbright. 2 days in a row. I'm still so mad that she's gonna be going to Australia. Oops. We're gonna go see The Fifth Element today. So that means popcorn. Just gonna build this completely up. Yes, I can. It's soft enough. It's I don't have anything open that's gonna get stuck in, you know. I should probably actually. I'll make this taller, like here. Make it to there. That way we can do this. And then we do these guys here. Do these here as well. Safety first. Oh, that's right. I can build this out a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. Turn these guys on. Thanks, bud. Where the heck are you mining at? Okay, who else did I want over here? What else do we need? Oh, we are gonna need some electricity guys, won't we? Oh, they're all just at 70. Yeah, I will eventually. Do I have it unlocked? I do have the power generator unlocked. Okay. Gonna toss all this in here right now. Nope, not those. That can stay out. Then I'll sort through it again later. We're almost done disassembling this base. I haven't finished this up. That's so ridiculous. I'll have him finish this up. Then I'll figure out where I'm going to put my expedition stuff. I just don't get the guild PAL box or the guild box until 40 something. There's the glass. There it is, the guild chest. Get that into level 41. The only thing I didn't increase was my levels. Yeah. I just didn't increase the percentage of XP that I get for my levels. But the weight and then how much material I get and stuff that I increased because I felt like that was more worth it than anything else. And this will decay over time. I'm not too worried about this. finish up the research on this. Yeah, I felt like the breaking of my stuff because I'm by myself, the decay of stuff because I'm by myself, and then how much materials I get from harvesting things, I felt like wasn't necessarily going to be a cheating mechanism. It's just there's little stuff that I don't want to have to worry about while I'm doing this solo. The tedious stuff. And the research and everything like that. Yeah, just the little stuff. I don't mind. I'm not gonna mind like going out and grinding dungeons and stuff like that. That doesn't bother me much. But yeah, it's the just breaking of stuff. The stuff that doesn't really seem to matter very much. Okay. Thank you. Stop it. This is always a great first spot, but we got to move on. Okay, we're just have to do one more trip after this. Actually, this can probably go up here. Then I gotta figure out another spot as just like a home base. Because this place isn't gonna be my home base, it's gonna be like a production area. This is mainly for my ingots and stuff. I still gotta find a home base. I gotta figure out where I want to go for that. Up here might be good. This feels too close because the oil rig's right there. What I'm gonna do to make it easier for them to defeat stuff is just get rid of that. I'll just funnel these guys in. That's fine. And I mean, I have the ore stuff too, so I don't even really need this thing here either. But it's a good spot for a base. Just because the oil rig's over here. This has always been a nice spot, because you can funnel enemies that way too in case of raids, but I have that turned off right now while I build. I want to have a good spot. I didn't really have a very good spot for a fishing hut. And over here, the Pen King's over there. I still want to find a good fishing spot. So I got rid of that other base. Could use. What do I really need over here? I don't really need wood anymore. I see more fire. The kindling. I can take you out. My little kitty friend. That's just my efficiency with that. 77. No. Look at you. Heck yeah. You go up there. You do this one. Logging I'm not going to need to worry about. It's mostly just the ore mining. Actually, I don't even need this. If I ever need wood, I'll just bring some back over here. These guys are just mining, fire, mining, transport, kindling, and there's some of the guys that are doing plant work. Which I can even do. I don't even need the Mammarist over here, to be honest with you. You can just do that. I mean, they got food, so. Okay. I have one over here. It just wasn't working out very well. I think this is up on a cliff too. I don't want too many bases over there either. Let me see where else I can start building up. Maybe just a home. Start scouting out some places. Start building a little bit before we have to leave. Supply drop. Oh. For the Cinnamoths. Excuse me. Where are you?
Yeah.
Oh no, I missed.
Yeah.
Mm. Crap. I would like the honey. I can discard the... Well, I got a cinema. Oh, no, 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 no. Get him. Thank you. Oh, crap. Okay. I should have dropped off some of the other stuff before I started doing this. Cement, I'm not worried about either. Ooh. Crap. Oil. These guys were bugged as all hell too. How many of them are there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Come here. You're adorable, but I want to get the bonus points. Hold on. I need one more. No, come here. Are you talking about like for Depresso, the party hat and glasses? Because I totally have that. Or do you mean for me? Yeah. You're a cute freaking burb.
Yeah.
Cute burb. Okay, there's quick travel over this way. Ooh, more Cinnamoths too. No! It's so cute! Oh, there's a lot of Cinnamoths. Isn't the Elizabeth bee over here somewhere too? Trying to remember. Oh my goodness, I can't see. I can't see! I'm going above their head! There we go.
Yeah.
Ow, 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 ow! Girl! Be a cute little burb.
Yeah.
Dude, there are so many Cinnamoths over here? Why? Here's the fast travel. I'm gonna go down to this guy. Oi! How are we doing? I gotta organize a bunch of stuff in here. I need a space for my schematics. Storage. See, I like this guy for the schematics. You are gonna be only schematics. Oh, I need... Did we build it? Did we really build it backwards? What? Let's just do this guy then. I think that's what happened. Okay, then you will only be schematics. Uncheck all. Bit more stuff in there. I got eggs, I got oil. Ore, stone. Take these guys out. Ingots. Other material, I guess? That's kind of what else that is. It's gonna be like halfway off the frickin' thing. That's funny. Pal materials, other materials. No. Enhancement items. Yeah, I need to have a place to make food. I don't know why I built 3, but here we are. I don't know if I have anybody to do that with either. Oh. I can do those here. Ah, crap. Maybe we cancel that. stack these up. Hopefully I don't have this too close. Okay. Yeah, I just hope I don't have these too close together. Honestly, I could probably move the berries. Let's have this be a big station over here. I don't think any of this stuff's gonna still be there. Ooh, a SWOT schematic. More burbs. You're an asshole. Come here, stupid head. Oh, it's still a lot of the stuff's still over here. I guess I didn't need my megasphere. Excuse me. Little baby Burby. A lot of stuff's still over here. Oh, come here. You son of a bitch! I wanted the green tail, you fucker! Oh, okay, that's how it's gonna be. Okay. Okay. Come here, you stupid hoe. Dick. I wanted the chunky cat so badly. Oh, there's more of them over here.
Yeah.
Run, Cinemoths, run! Oh, what the fuck? What the hell? Cipher just got me. Oh, you motherfucker. You motherfucker. Ooh. That's what you do. You respawn up here, and then you build another house up here.
Hut.
Overlooking the tree right here. Build a couple layers. This might be it. Yeah, the Helsifer got me. That's a little upsetty spaghettis, but that's okay. I'm probably gonna build. Oh yeah, I'm gonna build like a 3-tier house up this way. I see some stone. Oh, even up here wouldn't be bad. Oh. No, this right here. This is gonna be it. We're gonna leave in about 15 minutes. The movie starts at 4. Oh yeah, we're gonna be right up here. And then I don't believe we're doing Star Trek tomorrow because ew. Hats has visitor. It's a nice flat spot though. Okay, now we're gonna do the PAL box. Right here. How far out do we go right now? probably should have like, feels like I should have put it a little bit farther out to be along that cliffside for a nice view. Yeah, I think this will work. Okay. I feel like that's the easy way to get around everywhere too. Okay, let me drop off all this stuff. And I'm gonna head out. Let's have some more tomato seeds too. We're getting a little bit farther. Oh, I should see if I can do this. At least everybody's okay. Their sanity looks like it's up high enough. No, I don't have any more tomato plants. It's fine. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Alrighty, guys. I'm gonna head out. I know she's getting off here soon, so I'm not gonna raid Indy. Thank you guys for hanging out for a little impromptu Pal World. Let's play a little bit with the fam, but let me see. Let's see who else is on. Oh. I have a feeling she might go here afterwards too. So let's say hi to King. He's playing a little bit of God of War. Go hang out with King. And I will probably be doing more Pal World. We'll see how I'm feeling when I get home. The movie's at 4. Probably go until about 7. So maybe I'll do a late night as well. You two play. We do! We always do. We just gang up on Steve. But go say hi to King. I'm out of guys. Have a wonderful night. If I don't see you tonight, I'll see you tomorrow. I don't think we're doing Star Trek, so I might still